Welcome back to Pandamonium, my Cities Skylines 2 Let's Play series. This is episode 1, where we start building our first small town, laying out the road networks, detailing a few small green areas, and getting a general foundation for our city. If you haven't seen episode 0, where we used the editor to transform River Delta into what you see before you, there'll be a link to the full playlist in the description. But without further ado, let's get into the build. We'll be starting off with our main residential area. Coming off of the interchange we built last episode. A small note here if you are playing the map. This interchange is slightly bugged and the main road leading off from it can't be bulldozed unless you have bypass validation results on with developer mode. Apologies for that. Unfortunately, the latest update overrode my map files, so I'm unable to go back into the editor and fix this. But thankfully, I did have a save file for both left and right hand traffic before that happened. So I'll be providing both of those files for you in the description if you would like to play along. There is also an issue with the train line that was pointed out by a user on Reddit. I'll get into how to fix that issue later on in the video. You'll notice already that I quite dislike standard grids. That's purely an aesthetic choice. My design philosophy for Pandamonium is going to be one of maximizing space while not also conforming to a basic and boring grid pattern. I do like straight roads for my neighborhoods, especially with how zoning works in this game so far, but I like to have angles built in to provide some more visual interest. You might also notice that I prefer having T-junctions over cross-junctions. This is purely for traffic flow, and is probably a byproduct of playing Cities 1. I will have a few cross-junctions here and there, but I'll be limiting my use of them as much as I can, and probably adding roundabouts where I feel appropriate. I'd love to know your own personal design philosophies in the comments. With our basic road layout basically finished, we'll finally come in, add power, water, and sewage. And yes, before you say anything, I completely forgot to connect electricity to our water pump, but we'll fix that up later. Now that we have our basic services so that our citizens can survive, we can finally start zoning. You'll notice here that I'm basically zoning each and every individual building. This is a tip I picked up from Few Candy's channel, and it basically helps to break up the repetition that you so often get when you're zoning entire blocks at once. And it also allows for the buildings to come in at a smaller 2x2, 3x3, 2x3, rather than an entire building spanning between the 6-cell wide blocks that I've built here. Again, this is a personal preference. I personally like the aesthetic of it more, and my goal is to make a quite detailed city, so I don't mind taking the time to zone this way. With milestone 1 of Tiny Village, we gain access to the clinic, and we go ahead and unlock the Crematorium with our first development point. Mainly because I feel like the cemetery is incredibly oversized, especially for a small starting town like this, and we need some kind of death care. Placing these took me a minute, so you'll have to bear with me, but I'm quite happy with where they end up. On this main kind of sub-arterial road, and we have plenty of space for the upgrades if we ever need them. But for now, we're going to fill these spaces with some custom green areas. I'm envisioning that these would be perfect little parks for families to come and visit their sick relatives, or for gatherings and celebrations of life in the case of the crematorium. I thought I could get away with being lazy here and just adding a bunch of trees to this middle park, but I absolutely hated the way it looked, so I ended up completely redoing this with something I was much happier with. I've also noticed that for whatever reason, the pedestrian paths don't like to connect to the alleys in nice, clean ways sometimes. So if anyone's found a fix for this, I'd love to hear it, although I imagine this will be patched at some point, or just fixed with mods when we get access to the Paradox mod tools. I don't want this entire area to be low density, so we can start adding in a little bit of row housing. I personally don't like a lot of it because it feels really repetitive, but with a little custom courtyard here and there, I think it can look really nice. I'm really loving the surface painter tool within dev mode as well. It really lets you blend in buildings like this with the angled roads, and will seriously help this city to look full, rather than having random spots of empty grass everywhere. And with that, small village, milestone 2. We now have access to taxes, medium density, and education, as well as 2 more development points. We'll end up spending one of these points on roundabouts, but we're going to hang on to the other point for the moment, as I'd really like to unlock geothermal power next, so we can hopefully start turning a profit in this city sooner rather than later. We're also going to hold off on education for the moment. That will probably be the main focus of the next episode, when we build our little educational hub for the city with the primary school, the high school, as well as the college. With this other small little courtyard near our row houses, I decided to go with something like a small public workout area. I also used a tool that I found in dev mode to paint this area as a gym park, but it didn't seem to register as a park at all, so I'm not sure if this is implemented yet. However, it's nice to know that the option is there. Custom parks might be coming soon, but will probably be a modded thing in the short term. We'll keep filling up this area with some more zoning and start placing a little more medium density towards the center. And we'll do a little detailing as we go. There's not a lot to say here really, mostly I'm just trying to cope with the weird zoning in this game, using pedestrian paths to block zoning on one road so it gives others priority. But it's really just trial and error for the most part. Large village is here, milestone 3, and we get access to a bunch of stuff including the firehouse and the police station. But maybe more importantly, we can finally afford to unlock the geothermal plant and the college. Before we place them, I just want to quickly check how our taxes and demand are going. Ultimately, I decided to bring these back down to the default of 10 because people weren't happy with the higher tax rate, but we'll definitely be tweaking this a lot more as our city grows and we add more services in. Finally, we can place the geothermal plant, connect it up to power, and get rid of our transformer station that was importing our power previously. We might not see profit straight away just simply due to the fact that we don't have enough educated citizens to make this run super efficiently, but once we get our education sorted in the next episode, we should see this turning quite a nice profit. We'll also place down our fire and police services and do a similar thing that we did with the clinic and crematorium, where we surround them with some nice green spaces for our citizens to enjoy. These would have to be the safest parks in all of Pandamonium at this point. Quick little tip here too, while you can't get trees to be super close together to fill a space, the bushes have a much smaller radius around them where they will say they're overlapping. So if you want nice dense foliage, bushes are absolutely the answer here. Again, our detailing is rudely interrupted by milestone 4, Grand Village. Two important things at this milestone. Firstly, we finally have access to actual parks rather than the custom ones we've been building so far, so I'll be placing a few of them around just to increase the happiness of our citizens. And secondly, we get access to public transport, which we won't be dealing with too much in this episode outside of fixing our rail line, but I'd like to build quite a robust public transit system within Pandamonium. With our new development points, we'll also go ahead and take advanced road services, highways, as well as trains, mainly just so we can fix the issue with the rail from the get-go. And here is the problem I was talking about earlier. Pointed out by Mall01 on Reddit, for some reason these two pieces of rail didn't join properly in the editor. So the trains just try to switch tracks and end up backing up the entire line. To fix this, you'll need developer mode on as well as bypass validation results on, so that you can edit things outside of the tiles that you've unlocked. Once that's set, it's as simple as bulldozing this section of track and redrawing it so that they connect properly. I also found my trains were sometimes switching lanes, so I went from one outside connection to the other outside connection with the upgrade tool, so that all tracks are definitely facing the same way. And, as you can see, our trains now flow all the way along our map without doing any weird lane switches. And with that, that's where I'll leave the episode for now. In the meantime, we do need a name for our districts. I'd like one district for our residential area and another for the industrial zone, so leave any suggestions in the comments. Next time in Pandamonium, we'll come in and fill out the rest of our starting area with zoning, as well as work on what is hopefully a beautifully detailed educational hub for our citizens. But until next time, happy building.